Hello everyone, this is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we're going to continue with our expanded explorations, this time with a very interesting Shaymin Crobat list inspired from one of the Japanese lists that we saw on a recent tournament they had in Expanded, and I was really taken aback by how this list was winning games at all, and then I started playing it and I started to figure out why this was winning games. The Crobat line is very devastating against most non-GX builds and against a lot of GX decks, just doing the army of Robo subs and using this Teammates engine to set up math for you perfectly is actually pretty nice. And I think just doing this Sky Return loop with Shaymin does have some merits. There's obviously some downsides. We never like seeing Garbodor, and our damage output in general is low turn by turn, so there are definitely weaknesses here, but it can have some good early aggression, and the fact that we can put counters on specific places in the right times means that we can really capitalize and be fully in control of our own prize trades, so we can be safeguarded against N, which is one of the biggest things in this deck, because you're always Sky Returning your attacker back into your hand, so you want to always shield yourself from N as best as possible by not taking all your prizes at once, and two, throwing Robo subs in the active so that they have to Guzma around instead of play N, or they sacrifice a turn of taking a knockout if they are playing the N. So yeah, this is a pretty fun deck and really interesting to see this function and work, so hopefully it should be a fun video. Let's look at the list. First of all, our main attacker is Shaymin EX, normally known only for using setup to help you get your combos rolling. Here, we obviously have this option for us. Most turns we're going to be using setup because we're going to be replaying this Shaymin for our Sky Returns every attack that we do. So just for a DC, you do 30, return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. We're playing Muscle Band as well, so it's just a 50 damage poke, and you remove the EX off your board and hopefully throw them things like Robo Sub and other like Crobats and stuff. So that's really awesome. This is just a really small poke, but at the same time, we get to poke into robots, and that can disrupt the opponent all over the place, so that's really awesome. From there, we're going to have a 4-4-3 line of Crobat. Obviously, we want the free flight Zubat, so that we can retreat into our Shaymin very easily. 4 copies of the Sneaky Bite Golbat. When you play this Pokemon from your hand, to evolve one of your Pokemon, you put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's anywhere you like. So this is going to be nice for picking up some lower HP things, putting things in range, all that good stuff. It's just very flexible. We also have the Swoop Across Attack, which can do 10 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Again, the flexibility of this output isn't too bad. So these are attacks that you actually do bear in mind in this deck, because you can set up some cute numbers and do like Super Cross plays if you really need to. Similar for the Crobat, Skill Dive is an attack that you do keep in mind. You do 30 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Again, with Muscle Band, you can actually hit the Garbs for 100. So if you do a Surprise or a Sneaky Bite, you can actually knock out Garbs, which is a big deal for you. Surprise Bite is just a bigger version of the Golbat, doing 3 counters when you play this down, similar to the Greninja GX that we've seen more recently. So the upside of this Crobat is obviously it has free retreat as well, and a nice resistance to fighting. So against some fighting style decks, you can just throw the bats in the way, and they sometimes can't hit through them. So that's really awesome. From there, 3 tech one-offs. Ditto Prism Star is literally in here to be a 5th Zubat. And then we have the 1 Larvitar. Second Strike does 10 plus 70 if your opponent's active has 3 or more damage counters on it. Obviously, we are a fighting type, and this is trying to capitalize against the likes of Zoroark players and Pikarom players as best as possible. We have Muscle Bands in here, so it goes to a base of 100, and that means that with 1 Sneaky Bite or with Shrine or whatever that we already need to have on there, thanks to the text of Second Strike, we're going to be knocking things out. So this is a great way that we can capitalize on the big weakness that's pretty much looming over the format right now, and Larvitar is very good for that. 1 copy of the Bench Barrier Mr. Mime. Again, Pikarom, something that we have to bear in mind here, as well as Magikarp and Warlord Tag Team GX in the Snorlax decks. We want to make sure that we have the barrier up if we can help it. Obviously, sometimes they're both playing Silent Lab, which is a real problem. We do play a lot of stadium removal in here, though, with our stadiums themselves, the blowers and the Faber, so hopefully the Bench Barrier is online for a good portion of the game. And at the very least, we have 130 hit points a lot of the time, so it's hard for them to do like Distortion Door as well as Volcanion Prism Star attack and stuff like that. We can hopefully get around it for a decent number of turns thanks to the Bench Barrier. At least we don't lose all at once, is the idea. Onto the item cards. Scoop Up Cyclone is a great item in here. put one of your Pokemon and all cards attached into your hand. This essentially reads like 50 damage a lot of the time because you'll pick up a Crobat and then like replay a Golbat, replay a Crobat, and that's really good. Obviously, you can undo some damage that's on any of your stuff as well, which is nice. So that's definitely something you can bear in mind. From there, we have 2 of the Field Blower. This is a huge card. Obviously, Garbodor's a huge problem. So being able to get rid of that is big, and also contesting Stadium more whenever we need to as well. The likes of Silent Lab is huge because Shaymin EX is a big part of our draw engine, and having blowers for these is really big, and tools in general all over the place. Field Blower can just clear them off, which is great. 2 copies of Trainers Mail, just for some extra consistency here and there. 2 copies of Mysterious Treasure. I was amazed that the Japanese list played no copies of Treasure. Has great synergy with grabbing all of our evolution line, which is huge, as well as the freebie of getting Mr. Mime out. We are still playing for Ultra Ball, and I still believe that Ultra Ball is the stronger option. You just want to have Shaymin turn 1, because it's so huge to get rolling and attacking. And also, it's just discarding more cards, which is actually good for you when you're just trying to set up a lot of the time. There's nothing really too precious that we just can't dump all the time. We want to get rid of excess Brigettes that we're like setting up into. So we want to make sure our hand goes low so we can top it back up with setup every turn. So the 4 Ultra Ball, still really awesome, mainly in here just so we can see the Shaymin early, but has the added upside of extra discards, which is rarely an upside, but here it's actually pretty good. 3 copies of Rescue Stretcher. Recycling the bats is pretty much, all we need to do. We're going to keep throwing robots in your opponent's face, and obviously they're going to be gusting and knocking out Crobat lines, so recycling these with Stretcher only makes sense. And then we do have the 4 ofs in the deck. Robo Substitute's a huge one. We obviously Sky Return into this all the time and make your opponent deal with this guy, force them to have Guzmas. Many decks out there are just playing 1 copy or 2 copies of Guzma alongside VS Seekers, so we can make it difficult for them to get around us all the time, and we're only ever leaving non-GXs on the board anyway. So this is a great way that we safeguard ourselves from N, as I already mentioned, and try and skew the prize trade in our favor, because there will be turns where people simply can't gust around, and when you get those freebies, you're really happy with the Robo Sub. It's a really big card for this deck. 4 copies of Ultra... Oh, I've already talked about that. 4 copies of VS Seeker. We are using a couple key one-offs here and there, the AZ, the Faber, the Guzma, but oftentimes we're just trying to teammates chain the whole time. Your robots getting knocked out does trigger teammates, because it's a Pokemon getting knocked out. This is treated as a Pokemon when it's in play. So even if they're gusting around and knocking out the bats, we can teammates to try and reset bats or get back into our Shaymin DCE if we're getting end out of it and they're going to knock something out as well. So the VS Seeker are really good just for spamming teammates, as well as any of our other supporter cards here and there. 2 copies of Shrine of Punishment. Honestly, you could think about playing more. I think right now I want to dedicate more slots to having the double blower and the Faber, because I'm more scared about Garbodor in general. But Shrine is just extra damage ticks, and when you have such flexible output with this deck, Shrine's just a big card that I can really see being useful. Onto the supporters, 1 copy of Guzma. We're actually not too focused on gusting things up, because our damage output with our own attacks is so weak that it's not like we ever go, okay, Guzma dead, because we're just doing 50. So normally we're going to use the flexible damage with our bats, so you only really need 1 Guzma here and there. It's not like a vital piece, but it's still nice. And especially because it can get us around being trapped if we do have Mr. Mime or Larvitar. You'd think these 1 retreaters, it's not a big problem if they get like trapped, but it means we can't Sky Return that turn, so we need to Guzma at times. 1 copy of Faber. It's a VS Seekerable way of getting Stadium and tool removal, which is really big. Obviously, special energy removal is a small thing here and there, maybe against Seismitoad or something, but it's really just to remove tools from Garb as best we can from the discard pile, which is good. 1 copy of AZ. Again, this is a nice card that you can do similar to the Scoop Up Cyclone. Sometimes it just reads as 50 damage, just so we can pick up the bat. Also, it's nice if you just want to pick up a Shaymin if you need to like set up more in a turn, or if you just need to clear your board for whatever reason. The AZ is going to be a nice one-off here and there. Typically just to bounce a bat, though, like Scoop Up Cyclone would do. Then we have the 2 of N. We are sometimes pretty defensive, pretty slow. We can use our bats sufficiently to put damage all over the place and not take knockouts if we feel like they don't have healing cards in their deck. And if that's the case, N's going to be strong for us and weak for the opponent. Additionally, you can always end yourself down to a low hand size, knowing that you're going to Sky Return the stuff back into your hand so you can set up anyway next turn. So we get the full value of N in this deck list, and that's really awesome. So 2 copies is really nice. But in general, we want to be using teammates all the time, because this is just so crucial for getting more bat pieces out the whole time. And I keep mentioning how important this line is, and our damage output is terrible without these, let's just be honest. So teammates getting this sort of stuff is really huge. and 4 copies of Brigette, just because we get lots of basics down early, and that's going to be really huge for us because, again, bats is our damage. Let's use the bats as much as possible. Brigette turn 1 is pretty much the dream, especially when we have the backup of Shaymin. I have initially tried, when I first saw this list, I saw the Brigettes, and I was like, I just want to play Lily and 4 Ultra and 4 Treasure, and I realized that when you're using a Lily engine, you're never setting up for any extra cards. So the Brigette actually makes a lot of sense because you just guarantee those bats, and then setup can still top up your hand afterwards. So the Brigette's definitely correct in here. I initially thought it was bad, but it turns out to work really nicely with setup. From there, 2 copies of Muscle Band. I'm playing no choice bands because, I mean, 60 is fine. If you want to just play 1 and 1, you can. I like having double muscle at the very least, though. I think I would play 2 and 1 choice band rather than 1 and 1 because you get the flexibility of attacking with the Crobat and skill diving like Garbs and stuff, and that's actually a pretty big deal. So I like Muscle Band in that regard, but the choice band is an extra 10 whenever you're hitting into GXs, and that does add up because we're, Sky Returning a lot, so I like the damage buff. It's obviously a big thing that we just keep spamming onto our Shaymin, and it's never going to get blown away or whatever because it goes straight back into our hand. So that's really nice, and it's just extra damage on top. And for DC, pretty obvious. It means we can Sky Return, it means we can Skill Dive, it means we can retreat out of our stuff. It's all pretty good in general. We don't really need 4. The only reason we play 4 is to safeguard ourselves against N, as well as just seeing them early. That's just about it. I've thought about cutting this down to 3, but it's a little bit cheeky. I think 4 is still correct, just for early, sort of immediate access to getting your Sky Return loop rolling. That's pretty much the only thing that I think about. So, a few cards that I have considered. One of them is Seismitoad EX. We are a DC-based deck. We already have AZ. We could just have some Quaking Punch turns and slow people down. And in some matchups where you just have a Toad in the active and you're bat spamming, you can just lock someone out of the game very early on. We've seen Toad bats be good before. And the reason I'm not playing just like 1 copy of the Toad is I don't think it's that easy for us to find like our 1-of AZ or our 1-up Scoop Up Cyclone. I guess we could teammates for Cyclone, but that was only if someone's gusting around the Toad anyway. So it's really just that I don't want the Toad to get hit and then hit again. It just feels like we start losing our prize trade, and this deck wants to be non-GX focused to make it very difficult for your opponent to take a physical 6 prizes because our damage output is so low. We want the benefit of time. We want to be using all these evolutions as much as possible, make them go through robots the entire game, and the Toad sort of has anti-synergy there. But in general, Toad's a busted card, so I've wanted to work it in just because there's a DC option. But outside of that, like I said, I tried the Lily Nest Ball, like Treasure kind of build. It wasn't too good for me, and there are a few other DC attackers that you could consider just for some extra raw damage output than Sky Return, even something just like a Tauros GX, something like that you could think about adding in. Drampa GX as well. Some cards like this that you could consider playing, but overall I'm just sticking with the Shaymins because that is the essence of the deck, and we're trying to be non-GX as much as possible. So let's see how Shaymin Bats does on the ladder. It's more of a fun deck, more of a rogue. I don't think it's tippy top tier, but it can definitely cause issue to non-GX builds like Vespiquen and Flareon and any Jirachi style decks that are popping up. It's going to be really good against Hitmonchan because its damage output is terrible against us. Even though we can't use setup, we really don't need to a lot of the time just because we can just use our bats all the time. And the bats are really good shields against the Hitmonchans as well because their damage output is so low. So it's a pretty nice like anti-meta if you're expecting lots of non-GX stuff. And if you're not expecting a lot of Garb, it's a pretty reasonable play. And if there's any other big fighting decks, you can have a pretty good time against those in general. Alrighty, we have a Shaymin EX Starts, which most people would laugh at, but we're not too sad to see it. We are up against a fighting deck as well, so I would imagine we can tank a hit thanks to our resist early on. Oh, Machamp, huh? Well, Focus Sash isn't going to be doing too much. Machamp, Shrine of Memories. Uh-oh. What's going on here then? We have to read these Machops very carefully. DC is nice. Knuckle Punch. We pick up a big Brigette. That's nuts. Now, there is some debate to getting the Ditto out just because we can treasure for the bats. Do we have a Stretcher in hand, yes. So if Stretcher's in hand, we probably just want to get the Bats. Otherwise, I would lean towards the Ditto. But I think just grabbing Bats here is good. And I think it's just your move, Yugi. I don't think there's much else we need to do. Potentially we could Ultra Ball to try and safeguard around N a little bit. Like we could have Ultra Ball and maybe done like a second Shaymin for Sky Returning, but I don't think it's great. They're going to go ahead and put Shrine of Memories in. And just Cynthia out the gate. Well, they bench a Meditite, so it's a Medicham deck. Which is pretty interesting. Medicham actually gets around Robo subs very, very well, because it can knock out one and then still attack the next turn. It also has 70 hit points, so it's out of our range this turn. Shrine not going to be too helpful. What attack can he use? Flip a coin of heads. Will be knocked out by... Okay, that's fine. Kick. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I mean, he's playing this for a reason, right? And it looks like that's the reason. Are we content just to Fabber this turn? I think I'm fairly content to Fabber over N. His hand size is low. Don't think we need these. I think we're just going to go Golbat Fabber. Get rid of the strong energy. And Sky Return. I think we can go into the Golbat. I mean, no, let's go Zubat. You could have all sorts of stuff going on here. The Medicham actually does have a healing attack. The Calm Mind. Gonna see him bench another Meditite and just Cynthia. There's an energy. He's playing 2 retreat cost Machops. I wonder if there are any 1 retreat cost Machops out there. Gonna see an Ultra Ball nonetheless. Getting rid of Hustle Belts. Yikes. There's some stuff going on here. I guess the idea is the Sash gets popped and then you Hustle Belt and this does silly damage. Or at least the kick does, because it... So the Yoga Kick isn't affected by weakness, so he wants to use the Meditite so he can hit for weakness on Pikaroms and Zoros. Wow, he played... Wait, what? There's a non-GX card that does this. Well, don't tell him. Let's roll 1. Busted. How much hit points? 70. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's in our range. I like going for it. Sometimes you just got to go for it, you know. Yep. That's pretty good. Don't really like getting rid of Stretcher. Do I just set up for 2? For 3? Just to have some better discards for this Ultra Ball. Or we could draw a Treasure or another Golbat. Have we put a Teammates in the discard yet? No. Okay. This is the sort of control we're talking about. Just having such flexible damage is so powerful. And against non-GX decks, it's a bit of a dream. Field Blower. I don't think we need to play that just yet. I don't think I need to throw a Robo sub at him yet either. I think we just throw a Crobat at him. Especially because we have Stretcher in hand. Like, if he somehow gets a miraculous knockout, we can just Stretcher and use more Bats. They're going to Strong Energy, the Meditite. They're going to Sash it and evolve it as well. Karina. They're going to Candy Champ, just so that I can't get the freebie knockout next turn. Or are they going to develop more Meditite? Diancie Hustle. Okay. Well, this Knuckle Punch could be doing good damage. Okay. Well, Crobat, if we find both Crobats, we can just kill this again by skill diving. So that's got to be what we're going for. We're just going to play cards so that we can draw more. Should probably keep this on here, right? Okay. I'm not going to commit the DC just yet. Champ. Well, whoops. We're very good at dealing with non-GX decks. Oh, it feels good to be playing Bats again. I mean, this matchup is probably one of the best I could think of, but it does highlight the power of the Bats very nicely. The power of the Bat. What a dream. That poor Mr. Medicham player, expecting to queue into Zoras and Pika-Roms all day. I'm not one of those, buddy. I'm not one of those decks. I'm quite the opposite. Turns out, Crobat Shaymin is his worst nightmare, and I never would have thought about that. We did already mention that Hitmonchan's one of our free matchups, so it looks like we can capitalize on most of these just fighting decks that are trying to punch Pika-Roms and Zoroarks. Karina-based decks, tick. Everything else, question mark. Still learning, still figuring out if we have good matchups against those. We did 150 damage from our Bats alone that first game though, without attacking. Seems pretty good. One concern about this deck is that you don't draw your Brigette early, or many basics early, and you actually are unable to Sky Return on turn 2, because we'll end up dying. When I really want to, because he has 30 HP. Crumbs. We really want to draw Ball, Brigette, Shaymin, anything like that. Another non-GX deck. I see Field Blower, I see Teammates, and I immediately think it's non-GX. Are they just playing full out Alolan Eggs? Well, they get a Lele. Comp Search as well. Okay. Okay. That was some really weird play. Our hand is even worse now. We may be Scoop Up Cycloning after the treasure just to draw cards. Yikes. That moment when you need to draw cards. Well, this draws us the most cards, but at what cost? Never tell me the odds. That's pretty much the best outcome we could imagine. Pretty sure we don't need the blower. I think I'm still going to put down the Shaymin here. We want to get as many Bats out as possible because, again, he's a non-GX deck. We're rocking the teammates for next turn. Nice-oo. Don't show him the muscle band. Don't show him. Keep it hidden, lads. How many Pokemon are we looking at? 1. How brave is a brave man? 3-card hand and he has Instruct. We're giving him 2 Pokemon. Doesn't take much to Compressor. How brave is a brave man? If a brave man is a brave man. 100 hit points. The thing is, I'm greedy here for bats. I just want more bats here. I think we can just out-damage his basics if we go aggressive. I'm a believer. I'm a believer. Everyone's screaming, no, right now. I don't care. I believe. I believe that if he had any compressors, he would have played it last turn. He could be grabbing teammates, obviously, with a VS Seeker or something. Okay, that's Pokemon. Count is at 3. Shaymin EX and start doing that stuff, but we like Shaymin on the board. It's got low hit points. We can try and bat it down later. Could Instruct for 1. Oh, he had Compressor and he held it last turn, or he drew it. One of the two. He would definitely have played it if he had it last, or if he had it turn 1. 6. Oh, he didn't Instruct. I would have instructed first. 7, 8, 9. He still has Supporter. He could have damage buff in many places here. This could do it as well. Yep. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the Unknown is knockout. But look how many, look at this bat stuff. Look at these Combies. We're going to be feasting on that Combi, gobbling it up. Why did I doubt his turn 2? Never doubt a Vespiflarion. The good news is they've got rid of 3 Eevees, because one's here. So they're going to be reliant on these little Combies. And we like to gobble up Combies, that's for sure. Bats. Dealing with Combies. On the daily. That's a Vengeance. He actually propagated and didn't... Huh. Huh. Thinking face. We're going to go bat crazy here. Oh, I've got a cat emerging. Cat, away with you. Sorry. Not right now, cat. Later. We'll have lots of fun later. I really want to not put it on the Eevee, I don't think. I think I put this on the Shaymin. If I bat here, we can bat the active alongside the Sky Return. Yeah, I don't mind it on active. It's pretty reliable on the active here. Play this. Play this. Unfortunately, we have 6 cards. This is why it sounds like this, where you're like, oh, Ultra Ball's such a dream. Drawing more is just so pog. This is a deck that plays normally just Versus Seekers and 1 copy of Guzma. So robots in disguise are very good. straight away able to evolve. He's going to Compressor, maybe tossing away Guzma right now just so we can use it this turn. Possibly. We've done pretty well to face two non-GX decks so far. Next turn our teammates can be Crobat Robot if he knocks out our active. Interesting, he didn't get rid of a Goose. Could be very good news for us. He's using an N here. Oh, teammates. Interesting. Is he trying to put both Combies down at once? He's going to retreat and Sky Return. Very interesting. He just wants this off his board. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. It's going to be a teammates war. So, as we said, we're just going to get these cards, because they're good cards. We'll take the knockout here. Seeing as though we have Muscle Band, it makes sense, right? There's another Muscle Band. Only ever need one, so we'll park one over here. We'll smack him for 5. He's got to be living in fear about putting down many more Combies. Yep. Feels good. Non-GX decks. Tick. Bats, still good against non-GXs, can confirm. What a dream. There's potential that he prices Guzma, because he didn't Compressor away Guzma, and he VS Seeker for teammates instead. Potential that the one-off Guzma was prized. But at the same time, we had pretty good back control over any basics he put down, and we were a Sky Return away from finishing him off. This is why Muscle Band is definitely crucial in the deck. 50 and 50 makes 100. Big facts. Big facts. I'm hitting you with some knowledge bombs today. Alright, what are we up against now? Drowsiness. We win the flip, which is always cool. Hand doesn't look great, but when there's an Ultra Ball, there's a way. Play. I think we're just playing a lot of cards. Everyone's starting the eggs against us is so good for bats. Like, ridiculously good. I think we'll put the teammates in the discard pile just for VS Seeker synergies. I think, again, we proactively use this stretcher just to get rid of it. At the very least, we could reuse this Shaymin with AZ anyway. It's a pretty yucky hand. Pretty yucky. We'll at least get one bat down, and then we'll AZ and draw more. That's a really yucky hand. Holy. Doing a lot of plays early just to get out of this early bad hand. Another Zubat would be nice. Not much help there. Well, with Zoro, we've already got rid of 2 Shrine and a Blower. Uh-oh. Whoopie daisy. They're going to go ahead and Ultra Ball. Get that as far away from me as possible. That's like 4 more attacks for us. Oh dear. Good to see a 1 attack from our opponent. They're a Lily build. Interesting. A lot of expanded Zoras play like just Brigette Chorus. Again, similar to our build, Brigette is just stronger when you have Shaymin to fall back on as well. Going to see an Ultra Ball. Sort of Pokecom and an N. Are they going to Shaymin or are they going to Zorua? With only 1 Zubat down, they could get away with putting a Ditto down, which is annoying. No sign of Trubbish yet, though, which is good. We're very scared of Garb. Very scared of Garb. Just going to grab Zoroark. Huh. It's turn 1, though. In a format with N. My mind's been blown. Oh, this hand is so terrible. Why couldn't you just kill something? Draw 2. How does that sound, folks? Sounds about as good as that. Slap the head. Goodness gracious me, that is terrible draws. Well, we know he has the Zoroark. There it is. He could quite easily knock out one of our Shaymin. Even knocking out Golbat's a problem. Oh, excuse me. Jeez. Been at a cup today, so I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. Pretty tired. But when I say playing a lot of Pokemon, I've been bricking. Drawing a card and passing a lot today. Not with this deck. It was in standard. They put down a Fairy Mr. Mime. The Psychic one is definitely the play because there's Wobbuffets. Then again, Wobbuffet doesn't spread. They're going to keep getting Zoroarks. They are a Garb list. But we've seen no sign of that. They're going to chorus for 8. Parallel's actually pretty nice. We've already got rid of 3 of our stadium removals for this card. Ugh. 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 Getting rid of a trash launch is good for us. Oh, sorry, a toxin. He just wants to draw cards to beat us. Who could blame him? Okay, let's do this. We obviously want DCE. I think we just want another Zubat. He's so likely to Guzma next turn. The 30 damage isn't a big deal. We need to like accumulate this damage. Fester it. How many versus Seekers he played? None. Okay. No compressor yet though. And Zoroark typically plays one Guzma. Speak of the devil. He's going to do it before using any trades. He just knows he wants to do it, which makes sense. Do we ever teammates for Brigette Blower next turn? It just feels so slow. They're going to keep trading. It's interesting, a Zoroark that plays parallel over Skyfield. Maybe he plays both. Going to see an Ultra Ball. Get rid of Acerola and Lele. Would have thought Acerola would be a good card to keep around. They're going to grab Trubbish. And they're probably just going to beat us up here. Yep. That's a lot of robots. 1, 2, Ultra Ball, this. No real space for the Ultra Ball. We're definitely going to teammates. I think we just go for these. Really want to keep the blower for the Garb, but I think at the same time we got to draw cards. We have the Faber and the VS Seekers. Just that we can't really get to the Faber right now. We can play 1, 2. Have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in our hand, which is gross. Maybe I forego the blower for now. Maybe it's just. Maybe even take the Faber. Maybe we take the blower and hold it. It doesn't feel great. Does not feel great. Maybe it's just these. I want to get some requisite damage on the Garb so we can knock it out with a Crobat. This is all looking pretty scary though. There's a lot of things we want to Field Blower. And our turn 1 bricking meant that we got rid of 2 Shrine and a Blower early. And any of those cards are huge in this matchup. Absolutely huge. Whoops. Well, how many tools have gone from him so far? 3 tools already, 4 tools, 5 tools gone already. And he plays balloons over Klefkis by the looks of things. But 5 tools already gone. That's a second physical Guzma, which is very scary. That means he has a lot of gust in his deck. He's going to keep trading. Going to get rid of a Rain Bob. And he's going to get rid of a Brigette. Oh, he plays Brigette and Lily. Okay, that's cool. There's a balloon. And the beats means we don't have free retreat with our Zubat, so we have to spend a robot here just to retreat. We'll go ahead and grab teammates so we can stretch it back our Larvitar. I think we just take our other DCE because we only have 2 in deck, and that's a very scary prospect. We are also running dangerously low on bats. And that's a lot of our damage. We've prized a Stretcher and a Zubat, which kind of sucks. Maybe I just go... We already have the Ultra Ball in hand, so maybe I'm stretchering for 3 targets. I'm grabbing this as well. I should probably grab this. Oh man, this is hard. We'll grab these. We'll grab these. Gonna stretch 3 targets. 1, 2, 3. An Ultra Ball. Away on Ace Spec, I think. This is one way to do it. Not a great way, but a way. Second strike. Oh, that's pretty big. Unfortunately, no Stretcher from our prizes. You kind of like to reuse the Larvitar in this matchup. It's going to take us way too long to get through all these Zoroark. It's going to take us a long time. They benched the Ditto. That's pretty good for us if we can go double Golbat, and he's definitely going to knock out the active. He has to. Things turning around? Question mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 tools played. He can't play more, can he? Can he have space for more? He's going to Ace Arola. Oh, he's going to hit us with Lele? Okay. I guess he's scared of the Larvitar recycle, which is very fair. Oh, this frees up space for this as well. Cool, cool. I dig it. So he does play Klefki also. This is one nasty list for our deck. The parallel has been disgustingly powerful when we've already got rid of so many things early. Okay. The VS Seeker means I can Field Blow with these 2 targets. And the Teammates means I can guarantee myself a bat too. Finally get rid of this pesky kids. Let's get rid of these. Gives us free flight back. You always want to evolve the Ditto because otherwise it gets trapped. So you evolve the Ditto first here. So now we have 2 free retreaters on our board. 2 draws for some Poggers Bats. Well, that's good. I'm almost certain he has to be out of tools. He has to be out of tools, surely. There's no way he has more tools, right? Yes! Ooh, ooh. That's a big hit. That's a big hit. Maybe we're not out yet. Maybe. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough, but maybe we can win. We really don't want to see another ability lock come down though. If he has Stretcher, we're sad boys. He's played 1 Stretcher though. If he dowsing max a Stretcher, we're pretty sad. Is he gonna Guzma? Yeah, okay, he's gonna Guzma. Good old Guzma. Compressor as well, sure. How many VS Seekers he played? 1. Yikes. Yikes. Oh, this Guzma, man. We actually could have won if this Guzma wasn't exactly this turn. Could have killed this just with 1 bat drop. Our second bat drop could have gone here, and we could have recycled our Larvitar. And we could have dug for game with setups. Being muscle band would have been game. Obviously, he always has Guzma though, right? Played 2 and no VS Seekers at the time. Basically out of deck cards now. Maybe the Robot plus N works. Who knows? Pretty much what we got to hope for. Okay. Well, we always lose to Guzman no matter what, right? I mean, if we evolve this, he technically can't just win with a thingamajig. Okay. We'll take our freebie. Coming down to the wire. Oh, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good cards. That's our Larvitar. Come on now. Let the shenanigans work. He only has 1 trade. He's a mere mortal. Then again, he has very few cards left in deck. We've finally given him the free trades, now that we've dealt with his egg. He's in an interesting spot. It's going to propagate again. Does he have Dowsing Machine? Oh, Comp Search. Really hoping there's no more tools here. There's another tool we can't set up and dig for game. This Comp Search though. He's gone through so many Pokemon. Going to set up and draw 4. This is close, man. This is close. It's going to go Skyfield. Okay, he did play both this whole time. Oh, this is how he could reach, right? He could propagate and bench and Guzma. I think he got us. Yeah, he got us. Damn, we were a ton away. Ah! That's savage. Nice. Oh, he had another tool anyway. Jeez, that's like the hardest matchup. The amount of tools he played and the parallels. Oh my god. Oh, that's like the angriest Zoroark player I've ever seen. That man is out for blood. He does not want to lose to Shaymin Bats, but he almost did. And if we hadn't got rid of 2 Shrine and a Blower like turn 1, oh my god, we would have had him. We would have absolutely had him. Then again, he did leave an execute, so there's some good fortune on our side anyway. But yeah, that was the deck. We saw against the Zoroark that it has a chance, thanks to Larvitar. Yeah, the guard is still a big problem. I mean, that guy played a lot of tools. But we still got pretty close. So let me know what you think about this deck. To be honest, how it functioned against that Zoroark. That's like the most anti-Shaymin Bat list possible. Obviously, he's not teching for Shaymin Bats, but that's genuinely the most anti-Shaymin Bat list possible. We had early game brick, and we were still super close to winning. This deck's impressive. I think it's pretty sick. Let me know what you guys think about it. And yeah, really good expanded deck, I guess. We can see the proof's in the pudding that this can win games. Very good against non-GXs. And as long as you don't face item lot stuff, you have a chance, I guess. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.